Welcome to Normal Islands Live. I'm Curtis Daly, and I'm so happy because I'm joined by the incredible, the amazing Kevin Logan. Kevin, you don't look so happy now. It's because I cringed you out in backstage.
No, it's because you were giving me the big up, and I'll be honest with you, you oversold it. I'm not that
No,
great.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't buy that.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, how are you, Curtis?
I'm very well, actually. It's been a very busy day. We've been interacting with Matt Goodwin on Twitter, sorting out a story for tonight. But it's
Not
going to be a really, really good show, I think.
well. Before we get going, let's big ups to everyone at Turn Left for getting a shout out
Stop doing this.
from future Prime Minister Zachary Polanski.
Thank you. Well, that is the work of Callum Taylor. If you don't know what we're referencing, it was when Hannah
Tonight Show. Callum.
Well, it was Hannah Spencer when she was announced as the Gorton and Denton by-election. Callum Taylor, one of our reporters, went there and got a shout-out Q&A, the first for Turn Left. There's a lot of firsts, and I'm enjoying it.
Proper actual journalism, unlike, every other journalist.
Every other corporate media journalist, which, by the way, when you watch this show on a particular story, the corporate media really did not tell the story well. We're going to tell it properly. But again, Kevin, thank you.
That doesn't narrow it down. That's every story.
True. But in this particular story, the first one, we do our due diligence. Kevin, you're always welcome to the show. I'm glad you're on. It's been too long, but I'm very happy you're here. Coming up on tonight's show, we will be discussing Filton Six being found not guilty. Konstantin Kisin takes to Twitter to whine about cancer culture, and Reform seemingly broke electoral law by printing out a manipulative letter. Of course, you can help us grow by visiting turnleftmedia.co.uk/support to help fund our work, or by becoming a YouTube member. On with the show and on with our first story. On Wednesday, the jury reached their verdict of the Palestine Action activists who broke into the Israeli-owned Elbit Systems to protest the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Charlotte Head, Samuel Corner, Leona Camillo, Fatima Rajwani, Zoe Rogers, and Jordan Devlin, otherwise known as the Filton Six, were cleared of aggravated burglary of their break-in. 5 of the 6 have been released on bail. Corner is still in remand. Now, according to The Guardian, all 6 were acquitted of aggravated burglary, which carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, and jurors found Rajwani, Rogers, and Devlin not guilty of violence disorder. The jury deliberated for 36 hours and 34 minutes, but could not reach verdicts for charges of criminal damage against any of the 6 defendants. This was in spite of all the defendants except Devlin telling jurors they had entered the factory without permission and damaged Elbit's equipment, including computers and drones. Additionally, no verdict was reached in the allegation that Corner, 23, inflicted grievous bodily harm on Police Sergeant Kate Evans, or on the charges of violent disorder against Head, Corner, and Camillo. Here is some of the footage provided by Electronic Intifada. One claim that has been shared that goes against the activists is that a female police officer was attacked by a sledgehammer. This was the main story that came out of the case, which was shared widely by the media.
A court has heard that a Palestine Action activist struck a police officer with a sledgehammer after a group allegedly broke into an Israel-based defence firm in Bristol. 6 people are on trial accused of breaking into the site in a prison van in August of last year. Well, our correspondent Sajid Chowdhury has more and joins me now. And video, Sajid, shown in court today.
Yeah, this video shows the dramatic scenes, a very chaotic scene when police attended that Elbit Systems UK site in August last year, as you say. And it is one of many videos that Thames Valley Police released today. And it shows activists in red boiler suits, some of them swinging sledgehammers. And this video, I've got to say, has been treated by Thames Valley Police. So those freezes and those arrows that you're seeing put in by them in order to identify the defendants. Sky News has muted the video because of all of the swearing in it. But if we didn't, you'd hear a lot of shouting and screaming and an alarm going off at that site. 6 people, as you say, are on trial, which prosecutors say was a meticulously organised attack on the site. All 6 deny charges of aggravated burglary, violent disorder, and criminal damage. Prosecutors say that these are all members of Palestine Action, and it is worth clarifying that these allegations, the ones in this case, came before Palestine Action was prescribed under terrorism laws in June. One of the 6 is Samuel Corner. He's further charged with causing grievous bodily harm. He denies striking 2 police officers with a sledgehammer. The officers gave evidence in court today. One of them said that he was scared as he was hit in the calf, and the other one said she felt a massive shock vibrating through her whole body, and that she described thinking that her spine had been shattered because she'd been hit in the back as she was kneeling down. The trial is very complex. It's set to last 10 weeks, and of course it is separate to the judicial review proceedings that are ongoing this week, which look into the prescription and the legality of that decision.
But it's been claimed that this has been a trial by media. It's important we get as much context as possible. First is footage of a member of security carrying a whip, which was shared by Arza Winstanley. Why does he have a whip? Strange. Now, he subsequently tweeted this image. Some of these security guards were said to be ex-special forces. Not sure if this is some weird British imperial throwback or what. I can't think of any possible legitimate use for such a weapon. Absolutely unhinged violence. The families of the Filton Six also released a statement. Within it, they claim the activists were facing excessive force by security. The court heard that throughout the duration of the action inside the Filton factory, the 6 experienced a series of incidents of excessive force and both real and threatened violence from Elbit security guards. It was also revealed that the security guards were employed by a recently subcontracted firm called Minerva Elite, which is staffed by former Special Forces personnel. The incidents of excessive force by security include, upon entry, the defendants were initially confronted by a security guard named Patrick Luke. CCTV footage of the confrontation included audio of screams, but no direct CCTV footage of this incident was provided by Elbit Systems. Ellie Camillo recounted seeing Charlotte Head on the floor at this point, with the guard standing over her. Footage shows security guard Angelo Volanti running toward Jordan Devlin, who was empty-handed, while brandishing a whip, which is the same video. I mean, in the text it says link to video 2. That's the same video I just showed you with the person with the whip that Arza shared. Before picking up a sledgehammer, which he immediately uses to attack Zoe Rogers and Jordan Devlin.
I think it's time to leave.
Upon the police's arrival, Angelo Volanti can be seen rushing towards Jordan Devlin, who had slipped to the floor and was getting back up when Angelo Volanti hit Jordan Devlin in the neck with a sledgehammer, knocking the defendant to the ground. After knocking Jordan Devlin to the ground, Angelo Volante put him in a near-naked chokehold, which he admitted in court that he had not been trained to use. As you can see, we've got two images of Volante putting Devlin in a chokehold, and there he admits he wasn't trained on it properly. At this point, sorry. At this point, Zoe Rogers said to her arresting officer that he's Angelo Volante, literally choking him, Jordan Devlin. When questioned about this in court, arresting officer P.C. Adams said this maneuver would be considered dangerous. Security guard Volante also hits Jordan Devlin in the face with a sledgehammer. A series of images and a body map was provided to the jury of Jordan Devlin's injuries, which included a black eye and severe bruising across his body. Despite police footage showing Jordan Devlin reporting the violence at the time of arrest by saying, "He hits me in the face with a sledgehammer," this was not followed up, and Angelo Volante was never questioned by police about the result. About the assault.
This guy, mate, you hit me in the face with a sledgehammer. Defending myself against multiple people. You swung. How many more are there? Where are they? There must be 7 or 8. Right, you, come here. You, stay on the floor. Stop messing around.
After police had arrived, Fatima Zainab Rajwani and Charlotte Head can be seen holding their hands up quietly when Angelo Volante approached brandishing a sledgehammer, screaming at them to demand they get on the floor, after the defendants had already complied with police instructions. It's important to know that the entire case hasn't been concluded. That the jury could not reach a majority verdict on some of the lesser charges means, in theory, that there could be retrials in some cases, though that is not expected to have a realistic chance of success. This is why the 6th defendant, Samuel Corner, was not immediately bailed on Wednesday. Government prosecutors asked the court for more time to decide if they want to pursue a retrial in relation to the grievous bodily harm charge. Kevin, just to start off, seeing all of this, what's your immediate thoughts?
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, free at last. This is justice. Clearly and obviously this is justice, but in a proper moral sense. In a legal sense, we'll get back to in a second, but just the fact that this annoys all of the right people, I'm fine with, okay? I don't want to just do spite-based politics, of course, but the fact that Chris Philp, the Tory party nobody, has written to the Metropolitan Police Force in order to try and get them to reopen these trials, which I'm not even sure if that breaks habeas corpus or not at this point, but whatever. And he's going to be ignored in the same way that he was ignored when he tried to get Kneecap deplatformed from Glastonbury, and didn't happen either. But on the sort of serious point of this, the media narrative around this story, that this was a group of violent thugs who went in there and tried to kill a police officer, etc., has obviously been found out to be complete rubbish. The fact that the police used the sledgehammer first, the fact that there were illegal chokeholds used, which could have put people's lives in danger, the fact that the police, knowingly, having screamed, you're being filmed, then were walking around with a sledgehammer to people who had already given up. Like, it's remarkable. The police are absolutely useless. You can guarantee they'll try and protect the private property of Israeli arms companies, but if someone breaks into your house, don't even bother ringing up the police, because they're not going to be there for a day or two. It's ridiculous. Yeah, this is obviously the correct decision given the actual state of affairs in the case. The fact that violence was used on both sides, the fact that the police didn't even investigate the actions of the police and private security, including the carrying of whips, because apparently they were expecting a Wild West shootout or something. I don't even know what this is. A cowboy movie? They certainly are cowboys. Um, but even on a moral level, the fact that these people obviously did break into a arms factory would seem to call into question whether they should have been convicted of aggravated burglary, because they basically admitted that they did it. But what I would argue is that morally, this is still the correct decision to acquit these people, because as John Fitzgerald Kennedy, former president of the United States, said, those that make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. Now, ignoring the fact that he put down various peaceful revolutions in South America, because obviously he was an American president, the basic point stands. When we have a government that have made protesting basically illegal, that have made Palestine Action into a terrorist group. So you definitely can't say, I support Palestine Action. That would be illegal. You shouldn't do that. Don't say, I support Palestine Action, because you'll go to jail forever, because it's terrorism, apparently, according to the British government. The fact that they have made that illegal, the fact that they've made even just going to protests and making broad allusions to supporting certain groups is now completely illegal. You can be a disabled person, literally in a mobility scooter, or blind, or like look, an 80-year-old pastor, and you'll be arrested for this. So when peaceful methods have been taken off the table, what did the government think was going to happen to people who oppose their involvement in a genocide? Things were obviously going to escalate, because you're not allowing any kind of democratic, peaceful, liberal release valve like protest or trying to seek redress of grievance. Because if you ask a member of parliament why they're engaging in a genocide, they will call the police on you, as literally has happened with at least one Labour MP. And so this was inevitably the outcome of this. Now, of course, I'm not calling on anyone to break the law. There are peaceful ways, there are legal ways in which you can resist Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people. I think in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a fantastic move from trade unions in Europe who work primarily with people in ports around the Mediterranean, who have said that they will not transport goods to Israel from their ports anymore, basically shutting down Israel's vital lifeline, because Israel doesn't create the things it needs. It's an artificially propped up state, both financially and in terms of the goods and services that it's necessary for a modern nation to have. And so crippling that trade across the Mediterranean puts a lot of pressure on Israel. And a lot of pressure on America to try and do anything about this. And so there are legal ways of doing this. I would never encourage anyone to break the law. Naturally, I'm a good boy. But the government can't really be surprised that people chose potentially illegal ways, potentially direct ways of dealing with this, up to and including the breaking of private property, because you didn't allow them a peaceful way of doing this. So ultimately, the government have got egg on their face, and all of the right people who deserve to be annoyed by this are annoyed by this. So this is a fantastic story, and I'm very happy.
Given the outcome, and given all the evidence, I mean, I know it's not been put in the mainstream media, but what you've seen here, I mean, the media have selectively used one video to imply complete guilt on the activists. I mean, that is utterly outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But why would we expect anything different? We've seen this week that the media are happy to protect people like, yum friends of paedophiles and such child sex traffickers and things, because they're all thick as thieves. They're all in bed, metaphorically or literally, with people like international sex traffickers or Israeli government. Sorry, I repeat myself. Anyway, they're completely in hock to Zionist influence, as we've seen with the Jeffrey Epstein case, but of course in this case as well. The point I made about the police arriving in a timely fashion to the Albit Systems factory when it was private property being destroyed, they've never done that in modern times for British citizens. If someone breaks into your house, they're not going to arrive. Or if they do, the best you're going to get is a number to give to your insurance company to try and get any kind of recompense for that, a slight against you. the police not investigating one of their own for the initial use of sledgehammer, and the fact that the private security were engaged in illegal chokeholds, and the use of obviously not standard issue security apparel in the case of a whip. Like, it's ludicrous what's happened. It's been completely one-sided, always again in favor of Israel, because the establishment is in hock to Israel, and that's what this exposes yet again, which is why, of course, they were never going to tell the truth about this story and going to make it into they attacked an innocent police officer, which was complete bullshit. Obviously, from the very beginning, it was when they're only giving you one side of the story, it's because they only want you to hear one side of the story, because they're being paid by the people who only want you to hear one side of the story.
100%. Now, sorry, just bring it back to me for a second. Many people, particularly on the right, sorry, got a cough. I'll start that again. Always hits, yeah. Many people, particularly on the right, have shown their anger at the decision to acquit the Filton Six. This is Kemi Badenoch commenting on the verdict.
A jury has acquitted 6 Palestine Action activists who mounted a raid on an Israeli defense company's factory. There are now some questions over potential tampering with the jury. You want to put out a strong message about criminal damage. I was wondering what you make of this situation and what actions you plan to take, if any, in response to it.
I believe you were talking about the case where a police officer's spine was broken. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think that we have police officers and so many others who put themselves on the front line, and for people to attack them so viciously in that way and get away with it, that sends a very, very bad message about criminal activity, about our justice system. There should be an appeal. I think it needs to be looked at again. I haven't heard the allegations about jury tampering, but if we are a country where you can break the spine of a police officer and get away with it, then we are in serious trouble.
She's an odious individual, isn't she? I mean, she's saying we need to have a retrial because essentially she doesn't like the outcome. Once again, we don't have medical documentation that shows a police officer broke their spine, and at least from a sledgehammer. But as we've just gone through the show, we've shown you multiple videos, and we've shown you the response from the Filton Six families that documents the amount of violence the activists face. In fact, as I said, some of them were hit with sledgehammers. But of course, she's not going to speak up for those people, is she? Now, given that the case hasn't been completed, I mean, is Badenoch literally committing contempt of court live on TV? There's still one case that may go to retrial, and she's putting guilt on the entire group. Now, the Board of Deputies for British Jews put out a statement. We are concerned by the troubling verdicts acquitting members of Palestine Action, an organisation that has been prescribed as a terrorist group and whose activities have included targeting businesses linked to the Jewish community in London and Manchester. While it is important to respect the integrity of the judicial process, there is a serious danger of perverse justifications being used as a shield for criminality. It cannot be the case that those who commit serious criminal acts, including violent assaults, are able to evade the consequences of their actions. We look to the government to provide clear direction in tackling hate crime and extremist violence. This incident underlines the urgency of the Home Office's current review into public order and hate crime legislation. We are grateful to the officers who attended the scene and the CPS for prosecuting this case. We urge the prosecution to proceed with a retrial in respect of those charges where the jury was unable to reach a verdict, particularly given the severity of the injury suffered by Police Sergeant Evans. I mean, that is an insane statement. Oh, these people attacked Jewish businesses that affects London communities. What are you talking about, Jewish communities? This is Elbit Systems, owned by Israel, which is being used to commit a genocide. And the board of directors are trying to make it out like, oh, these people just went to a local Jewish-owned restaurant and vandalized it. That is insane. Absolutely ridiculous. Of course, they're trying to link this to anti-Semitism. But you want to talk about morality? You want to talk about empathy? I mean, what about those who were assaulted by the security officers? What about the children being killed in Gaza? 50% of Gazans are children. The last 2 years of what we've seen of Israel doing to the people in Palestine, and before that, for 80 years. Utterly stupid and nonsense. Now, as mentioned in the Kemi Badnoch video, there have been claims of jury tampering from those unhappy with the verdict, which is downright dangerous. Tory MP Chris Philip wrote in The Times amplifying this narrative. The acquittal and revelations that posters have been put up near the court encouraging the jury to return a verdict according to their consciences have prompted calls for an investigation into jury tampering. Lord Walney, the former government anti-extremism czar, said it is deeply disappointing that the jury was unable to reach a verdict on the sledgehammer attack that caused grievous bodily harm to a police sergeant who approached the Palestine Action saboteurs. I expect the CPS will now seek a retrial on this and other issues on which the jury was unable to reach a verdict. There should also be an investigation into whether signs placed outside the courtroom constituted jury tampering. So the so-called anti-extremism czar, you mean the extremely right-wing Zionist. Now, despite the court finding them not guilty, and all of the evidence is now available, Walney is continuing to push a one-sided narrative. Now, what is this claim of so-called tampering? Defend Our Juries tweeted this. About the jury tampering lie, it is not illegal for jurors to know their rights, as proven in the Saney ruling in the case of Trudy Warner. If it were tampering, you need to retry every case that has been taking place in the Old Bailey since this placard was installed. So because it's been claimed that people put up posters around Woolwich informing people of their rights, this has been twisted into the narrative that this is tampering with the jury, in which the media amplified. Stephen Pollard wasted no time to link the verdict to anti-Semitism. The Palestine Action acquittals are telling British Jews they have no future here. Now, within the article, Pollard states this. It's not been a great couple of years to be Jewish in Britain. Ever since 1,200 Jews were massacred by Hamas in Israel in 2023, the response here in Britain has been an unprecedented wave of Jew hate, with hundreds of thousands taken to the streets week after week to join hate marches chanting, "Globalise the Intifada," roughly translating as, "Kill the Jews." That demand bore fruit last October at Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester. In reality, the writing has been on the wall since 2015, with the election of Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader unleashed a torrent of anti-Semitism, which at the time seemed like a ceiling, but has turned out to be a floor. But the acquittal today of 6 members of Palestine Action over charges of aggravated burglary in connection with a break-in at the Elbit Systems factory in 2024, in which a police officer's spine was shattered, is something altogether different. The Jewish community and our allies have complained about the police's lack of action in protecting us and about the CPS's refusal to prosecute in too many cases, sending a clear message to the anti-Semites that they are clear to go about their business. Now, no one believes that nonsense anymore. I mean, once upon a time, he even voted Jeremy Corbyn, by the way. Once upon a time, during the Jeremy Corbyn leadership, people bought it. No one buys that anymore. And now, once again, he's trying to claim this as anti-Semitism. Once again, repeating the lie that Jeremy Corbyn's Labour leadership was this explosion of anti-Semitism. We've seen the reports, okay? We've seen the biases. We know that's not the case. And now, Pollard is trying to claim that because a jury found these activists not guilty, well, of course, anti-Semites can do whatever they want. Again, this is Elbit Systems, a military factory, an Israeli-owned company that's being used to bomb children. It is absolutely insane. Now, refreshingly, Zach Polanski put out a statement in support. Pleased to see the jury make this decision. We need to have eyes wide open. This is exactly why the government wants to abolish juries. People protesting against a genocide are not the criminals here, it's the politicians who continue to provide cover. Now, Zach being attacked for this is absolutely expected, by the way. but the Police Federation, who should remain impartial, went after him. The Police Federation has criticised Zach Polanski for celebrating the acquittal of Palestine Action protesters who fractured a police officer's spine with a sledgehammer. Your comments risk sending a message that injury to police officers is acceptable consequence. And this is the statement. Dear Mr. Polanski, we are writing to you following your public comments following the recent jury verdicts relating to protest activity at Elbit Systems sites. Given the nature of your comments, we are making this letter public. In remarks on X, you stated that you were pleased to see the jury make this decision. Went on to discuss that the government seeks to abolish juries because of outcomes such as this and asserted that people protesting against a genocide are not the criminals here. You were clear, emphatic and public in welcoming the verdicts and framing them as a moral vindication of those involved. What was striking, however, was what you did not say. In none of your comments did you acknowledge that a police officer was seriously injured in the course of these events. You did not express concern for the officer's welfare. You did not recognise that serious injury to someone carrying out their lawful duties is, in of itself, a matter deserving of reflection or sympathy. That omission matters. Police officers are not abstractions in political debates. They are people who go to work knowing they may be assaulted, seriously harmed, or worse, often while policing protests that are emotionally charged and highly confrontational. When an officer is seriously harmed, basic human decency would suggest that this fact warrants acknowledgement, whatever one's views on the wider political cause or the outcome of a trial. A police officer is assaulted in this country on average every 10 minutes, but publicly welcoming the verdict and framing the protesters are morally justified. While remaining silent on the harm suffered by an officer, your comments risk sending a message, intentional or not, that injury to police officers is an acceptable or incidental consequence of political protests. Police officers are not responsible for foreign policy, defence contracts, or international conflicts. They're responsible for enforcing the law impartially and preventing serious disorder. When elected representatives comment on post-trial outcomes without even acknowledging injury to officers, it undermines confidence that their safety is regarded as worthy of concern at all. You're entitled to your political views. You're entitled to welcome legal outcomes in cases linked to political views to which you subscribe. But with a public platform as party leader comes a responsibility to recognise harm when it occurs, especially when that harm is suffered by those tasking with keeping others safe. We ask you to reflect on that omission and on the signal it sends to those policing future protests. Empathy costs nothing. Its absence can cost lives. Very ironic there. Empathy costs nothing. Well, what about the empathy, once again, of those being murdered in Israel? And you want to talk about how, the Police Federation is apolitical. We stay out of this. The police are locking up pensioners for holding a sign, for peacefully holding a sign saying, we oppose genocide. Don't try and tell me that you're apolitical. People have tried to peacefully protest and you're hauling them in the back of the van. It's absolutely insane. And once again, that amplifying that this idea that this officer was injured. Well, guess what? The court and the jury found these people not guilty. Clearly, they saw the evidence and felt like, do you know what? If there was any injury to security services and the officers, it was through self-defense. And once again, I have shown you multiple videos of the activists being harmed. Zach Polanski is simply commenting on the verdict of a trial. And the Police Federation should not be going after elected officials. Extremely biased. Now, even the framing from Politics UK. Once again, no medical records have been released on the claim that the officer's spine was broken. But once again, no mention of the activists who were attacked by a sledgehammer from security. Kevin, I appreciate there's so much information there. But from bad or not potentially being contempt of court, from anti-Semitism accusations to the Police Federation attacking an elected politician, all of this is utterly madness.
Jumbly Cromblins in the year of 2026. Unbelievable that they would invoke him. Absolutely mad stuff. They're playing the classics. I would just say to all of these Zionist actors, let's use Israel's logic against it. Doesn't Palestine Action have a right to defend herself? really, when you think about it. And just as the IDF get to mark their own homework, I'll just say this. I have an official a statement here that says that Palestine Action investigated themselves and found that they did nothing wrong. So that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that's how it works, right? Those are the rules that you set up. So apparently it's absolutely fine. That's normal. It's grand. Now, I know I'm supposed to be like doing more sort of news analysis on this show, but if you'll allow me a moment of uncouth, bad language, fuck the British Board of Deputies. You don't represent Jewish people. You are a Zionist succubus on the British Jewish population. Go fuck yourselves. To the Police Federation, go fuck yourselves. Okay? Mucho texto does not mean anything. Stop writing fucking novels to people. Secondly, was it written by the UK Lawyers for Israel? Because it sounds very much like it. You claim to be apolitical, and yet you are here criticising an elected official who is the leader of one of the major parties of the United Kingdom. Not very fucking apolitical. You're not a real trade union. You're a very naughty boy. Now fuck off, right? And to Stephen Pollard, no one believes this shit anymore. No one's buying this nonsense. You invoke Jombly Cromlins in the year of our Lord 20 and 26 because you're mental, but no one believes the thing that worked 10 years ago. You can't just scream anti-Semitism because no one believes that anymore, which, by the way, is a massive betrayal of Jewish people in Britain and around the world, that you have so weakened the accusation of anti-Semitism that no one believes it anymore. Any criticism of Israel is automatically anti-Semitism, according to people like you, which means that when people are actually anti-Semitic and you accuse them of anti-Semitism, people just laugh it off in the same way that they laugh off your accusations now. So please, I just want to say to you this. Jewish people do have a future in the UK. They're a glorious part of our history and a glorious part of our present and future. Zionists, on the other hand, can fucking do one. No one's interested, Stephen. If you want to leave, please do. I'll drive you to the airport myself.
I mean, well said. Well said. And that's the thing. I mean, we say this every single time. I feel like it's a broken record when we say about how Zionism affects Jewish people in a negative way, but it absolutely does. I want to continue this conversation, but it's 8:20. We're in on the first story, so I am going to swiftly move on. I appreciate it was a long story, a lot of information there, but I thought it was important to put out all of that information, to read through the statements, to show the videos of the defendant and on behalf of the activist, because the corporate media have only gone through one line. A police officer was attacked. And I reiterate, I just want to be clear, by the way, I'm not supporting officers being hurt. I'm not saying people should get hurt. And if this person did suffer a bad spinal injury, right, I'm not saying that's a good thing, I celebrate it. What I am saying, though, is the court and the jury found they're not guilty. So if they did hurt their spine badly, according to the jury and the court, they were in self-defense. They were not guilty. Let's move on. Fresh off a Question Time, right-wing commentator and podcast host Konstantin Kisin is moaning about cancel culture. Kisin posted this on Twitter.
Over the last few days, there's been an attempt by a few non-entities on social media to have me banned from further Question Time appearances. These people still think it's 2016 when these tactics worked. Let me explain something to you. You've had the monopoly on the microphone for a long time, and it's made you lazy, and it's made you arrogant. More than 2 million people now watch and listen to Trigonometry. 100,000 read my Substack every week. Our show is part of a massive ecosystem of alternative media, which is the reason the legacy media is dying. You can keep trying to cancel people from the conversation to maintain your echo chamber. But even if you succeed, all that will achieve is driving more people into our arms. If you really hate my views and what I stand for, there's only one thing you can do. Make better arguments. Good luck. You're going to need it. One final thing. A lot of people on social media over the last few days have called me a grifter. And because of that, I'd just like to remind you can find my work at www.konstantinkissin.com.
I mean, it's all very vague, though, isn't it? You know, I'm being cancelled. Being cancelled. Who was trying to cancel you, right? How many people? How would they do it? Do you notice he says, "Oh, it's not big timers are trying to cancel me. It's irrelevant people." Then why are you making a video about how you're being cancelled, right? This is another example of the right wing wanting to be in perpetual victimhood, right? Kissing was literally on our public broadcaster, the BBC's flagship show. He has a large YouTube channel and a big social media presence. Yet conservatives constantly need to manufacture a world in order to keep their own politics sustainable, telling people they're oppressed, they're marginalised for stating opinions that have only been beneficial to the political establishment for 1,000 years. Now, to remind everyone, Kissing was called out by Labour MP Douglas Alexander for claiming that Rishi Sunak can't be English because he's a brown Hindu.
When Fraser Nelson put it to you that Rishi Sunak is absolutely English,
I said he's
what
British.
did you reply?
I said he's
no,
British.
you said he's a brown Hindu.
No, that's
How
not what I
is
said.
he
I said
English?
he's British. I said he's
How is
British.
he?
Now, the internet always brings the receipts. This is Kissing on the Trigonometry podcast.
I would say that Rishi Sunak is as English as Tizer and Wyferns, right? He is absolutely English. He was born and bred here. And I wouldn't say that the colour of his skin makes him any
He's
less.
a brown Hindu. How is he English?
Because he's born and bred here.
So by being born here, you become English, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Kevin, the constant victimhood from conservatives, it's really embarrassing, isn't it?
Honestly, if I ever had my ass handed to me by Fraser Nelson, I would not show my face in public ever again. I would live under a rock like a hermit, basically. That's embarrassing. We should change his name to Constantine Whining, because that's all he ever does is just whinge and whine and moan. Like so many of these supposedly anti-cancel culture people who would crack down on people's freedoms if they ever got the chance to, because that's what fascism is. They're constantly moaning about how they're being silenced, and yet I can still hear them, which isn't very effective in terms of silencing, is it? It's almost like they're lying. It reminds me of when John Cleese had a documentary on Channel 4, the national broadcast, a nationwide broadcaster, a documentary telling us all how he'd been silenced on a major platform. It's ridiculous. If you can't see the absurdity of that, I don't know how else better to explain it to you. If I can still hear you, you haven't been silenced. Konstantin Kisin is not a person of any intellectual renown or political experience. So why is he even on that show to begin with? Let alone the fact that virtually all of the people that go on there are right-wing gobshites like himself. Means that he's not adding anything interesting or new to the show. He's not a particularly erudite or interesting person to listen to, so he's not adding anything in terms of entertainment. Why is he on there constantly, whining and moaning? And secondly, every accusation the right wing make is just a confession. I think we saw this with Zia Yusuf whinging and whining about how the panel were trying to silence him the other day on Question Time as well, even though the point that was being made was by a member of the audience. So it's not the elite silencing you, it's someone in the audience questioning your political past. Like, it's ridiculous. They talk about how everyone else wants to be in an echo chamber, and yet they're the ones that want to be in an echo chamber. They don't like having their views questioned in any way whatsoever. If you try and probe into why they believe the things they believe, they'll start talking about how you're trying to cancel them. I don't want to cancel this guy. I think the more you let him speak, the more people can see that he's an absolute moron. And so, yeah, by all means, allow him his stupid little podcast. Who cares? But why does he have to get a season ticket to sit on one of the major political talk shows when he's not a person of sufficient anything to be there? And not just that, but to be given such a massive platform when you clearly don't deserve it, and still to moan about how everyone else has got the monopoly on the microphone is ludicrous. If anyone wants to cancel me into a regular appearance on the nation's biggest political debate show, by all means, I'll happily actually say the things that are countercultural. Because that's the thing with him and the right wing, is that they're allowed to appear as if they're alternative media. No, you're not. You're parroting the same shit that the rich already want you to. That's all you are. Actual alternative media is places like Turn Left or Novara Media or Politics Joe or whoever, right? They're going to give you something better. What trigonometry is just the same right-wing rubbish, but a little less polished because, they say the quiet bit out loud, like brown Hindus can't be English, which is an absurdly racist thing for which, quite rightly, people criticised you. Because that's the thing with free speech. Constantine, is that you're allowed to say something ridiculous and people can say that's ridiculous. And that's not them cancelling you, that's them rightfully criticising the stupid things that you said. So free speech works both ways. If you can't handle it, shut up.
All I want to say to that is, Constantine, fucking cry more. Wah! Anyway, before we move on, it's 2026 and we really want this year to be big for Turn Left. We want to make more ambitious content than last year and to really put us on the map. We would like 2026 to be the year where we could finally have a studio. It's going to happen. And for our contributors to actually be paid for the work we do. Your support over the years has been amazing and we are ready to take this to the next level. We rely on small donations, so if you want to be part of a media organisation that seeks to destroy the oligarchs, then please head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/supports. There you can support us monthly on Patreon, or there is another link for a one-time contribution. You can also become a YouTube member for just 99p. On to our final story. It seems the Reform Party may be trying to cheat and may have broken electoral law. This is what they've done in the upcoming Gorton and Denton by-election. So a resident in the constituency I'll start that again. That was very funny. Let's go from top. It seems the Reform Party may be trying to cheat the upcoming Gorton and Denton by-election. A resident in the constituency shared this image of a letter they received through the post. So in the letter, a Patricia Clegg, who claims to be a 74-year-old pensioner, claims that she used to vote Labour, but Labour has let her down with tax rises, and she claims it cost us £160. She then goes on to talk about the Green Party and says, I understand some neighbours who have had enough of Keir Starmer are thinking of voting Green, but I do not believe the Greens have answers to our problems. They have extreme policies like legalising drugs and letting men use women's changing rooms. What good will that do to people like us? At the end of the letter, Patricia says, voting for reform is the best way to kick him out. After a time of voting loyally, I feel I have no choice but to vote for Reform UK on Thursday, the 26th of February. Please think about doing the same. I mean, just looking at the letter before we get into it, there's no branding on it. It's printed in a way to look like a genuine letter. It's obviously trying to be misleading, right? So how do we know this is actually reform, though? You know, it could be anyone. Maybe someone's impersonating reform or trying to get reform in trouble. Well, we have confirmation that this is official campaign material. Now, the resident noticed that on the envelope it says Harding's Print Solutions, Middlesex. So we know it's not a real resident, but again, what actually links this to reform? Well, our very own Callum Taylor decided to call up Harding's Print Solutions, and this is what he found.
Good afternoon, Harding's.
Hi there. I'm just wondering if I could speak with Patricia Clegg, please.
Patricia?
Please.
Oh, we don't have a Patricia here, I'm afraid.
Oh, right, okay. It's just I've received a letter that's got your address on the front claiming to be from a Patricia Clegg.
Right. Okay. No. What's the contents of the letter? Can you tell us? Or?
Yeah, it's relating to the by-election in Gorton and Denton.
Oh, the Reform Party, is it? Yeah, so we're literally we're the printers, so we mail out on behalf of the Reform Party. So.
Oh,
yeah,
right. Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
what we do is we print the letter and we send it out on their behalf.
Okay, so is that official election literature then that's been sent out? Is that what you do for them?
It's official literature that's created by the Reform Party and sent out by the Reform Party. And it's sent to people on the electoral register.
Okay, it's addressed, it's signed from Patricia Clegg, that was all, so I just wanted to...
Right, yeah, I'm not familiar with the content, so you'd have to, any queries on the content need to be directed to the Reform Party because we're not responsible for the content, obviously.
Wonderful, not a problem. Thank you very much then, really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, take care, bye-bye.
Ooh, caught in the act. Caught in the act. Very polite from Callum. Just inquiring, is there a Patricia Clegg? Now, they've been caught, right? It's confirmed it's official Reform campaign material. Reform are sending fake letters from potentially fake residents in order to try and manipulate people into voting for them. Now, of course, campaign material doesn't need party branding, right? Even though it's manipulative and I think it's morally wrong, you can make a fake letter to make it look like it's real without the branding. However, what isn't allowed is an imprint. They need to have the imprint on the campaign material, which they didn't, and that is illegal. So they've broken electoral law. Now, this has been referred to the Electoral Commission, and they say it's now a matter for the police. The Manchester Mill reached out to the party, and look, it's their right of reply, so we are going to show you what Reform have said in response. So Manchester Mill made multiple calls to Reform's local campaign team in Gorton and Denton, but got no answer. We asked them via email if they funded the printing and distribution and whether they agree the lack of party imprint constitutes a breach in electoral law. The party said it commissioned a letter from Clegg with the full and correct legal imprint, but it has since become clear that an error occurred during the printing process due to a production failure by a third-party print supplier outside of Reform's control. The legal imprint was inadvertently removed at the point of printing without our knowledge. At no stage did the campaign know about, authorise or intend the distribution of material without a legal imprint. The omission arose solely from a supplier error after compliant materials had been submitted and approved. We will be providing further updates on Monday. Now, Manchester Mill also reached out to Hardings, and this is their response. Following publication, a spokesperson for Hardings sent the following statement via Reform UK. Hardings Printers has identified an error in the production of election leaflets printed and distributed on behalf of Reform UK for the Gorton and Denton by-election. We take our responsibilities in relation to election material very seriously and take full responsibility for this error occurring. We apologise to Reform UK and the voters of Gorton and Denton for this error. Okay, so that's their claim. That's what they're saying, but just want to point out that's not hard evidence. Now, we don't know if they're lying. They could be telling the truth, but that's just their claim. But, I'm giving them their right reply. But are Hardings, are they just acting as a fool guy? I mean, how does a printing error leave off conveniently the part which shows to the people it's official party campaign material? Of all the things that didn't get printed, the imprint didn't get on there. I mean, look, they went to the effort to make it look like a real letter. So my personal view is, I don't fucking buy it. It's bullshit. Okay? That's just my personal view. I think that Hardings is being the fool guy. And either, there's two scenarios here. One, they just didn't bother putting the imprint on there, thinking, we've got loads of money, we'll just pay the fine, because at the end of the day, it's the political damage that matters. Or two, they made a genuine mistake and they forgot to put it on there and they're trying to backtrack and maybe Hardings are taking the fall for it. That's just my theory. Now, I've actually got a message from one of our producers. Well, actually, it's from Ben McLean. He said to read this out. It's quite important context. In terms of fines when it comes to electoral law, there used to be a cap. That cap has been removed. Now, the size of the fine is relative to what they pay or they can pay. So a fine for a small printer will be relatively small, but it's in the benefit of Reform to blame the printers, as if Reform get fined, they just receive £9 million donation. So what that means basically is now the fine from electoral law isn't based on a particular number or cap, it's on ability to pay. So if you're an organisation with loads of money, like Reform, who receive £9 million in donations, the fine could be higher. But a printing company, not very likely to make as much money. So potentially they could be paring it onto them because it's less of a fine. Again, I'm not claiming that's true. Just say it's a theory. But I also think it's in Reform's interest to do that, okay? But again, I don't have any hard evidence, it's just my opinion. Kevin, I mean, illegality aside, the fact that they printed a letter to make it look like, poor old Patricia Clegg, I'm a local pensioner, in the way it's written, I think is disgraceful. And let's be honest, kind of shows Reform as nasty bastards, doesn't it?
Yes, lies, damn lies, and imprints. This story is another example of the underhanded tactics of the Reform Party. It's not the first time they have broken electoral rules. Of course, Nigel Farage himself was found to have overspent in the previous general election in Clacton, which is ironic given that he's never there, so he's not even getting value for money in that sense. But whatever. And nothing happened because nothing ever happens. The Tories consistently overspend at every general election, and they get a slap on the wrist and nothing more. Electoral law in this country is it's sort of like the "do not tumble dry" label on a piece of clothing, in that it has absolutely no enforcement mechanism whatsoever, and therefore has absolutely no authority or meaning. Frankly, um, Nigel Farage and his people are some of the most underhanded, snaky people in British politics, which is really saying something. This was obviously a case of them trying to get around the rules, of trying to not brand a thing that they wanted not branded. Okay, I don't buy it for a second that this was a printing error. This is obviously a case where a company want to get further custom from a customer, and therefore are essentially willing to take the fall in order for essentially what would amount to a kickback, i.e., we'll give you future employment on the basis of you taking the hit on this one. Because, like you say, they've just been given £9 million, and under the new electoral rules, could be fined quite steeply. So basically, it's a way of legally, but not necessarily ethically, dodging that by paying the company in future employment, etc., etc. They really should be fined massively for this. It's so obviously the case that Mrs. Clegg, if she even exists, which again needs to be looked into, and well done, by the way, to Callum for doing more investigative journalism in one phone call than the British media seem to have done on Nigel Farage in the last 30 years now. If she even exists, is being used as a kind of a fake person, even if they do exist, because they're trying to make this look like a real letter when it's obviously not a real letter. It's obviously a party political piece of propaganda that they try to get away with under the guise of not imprinting this is being printed on behalf of blah blah blah, who is the election agent of blah blah blah, which you're supposed to put on every piece of official election material, which they didn't do. They're just breaking the rules constantly because that's what fascists always do. They've never followed the law, and they don't intend to follow the law because they intend to corrupt the law when they get into power, which, by the way, the Labour Party are already doing by getting rid of juries, hence the first story, etc., etc.
I think this shows a problem with our electoral law. Like, let's just say that reform did include the imprint on it, right? I think it's illegal to try and manipulate people into thinking it's a genuine thing, right?
Yeah.
The idea that as long as you can add imprint onto the campaign stuff, you don't need the reform logo or party logo, the colours, nothing. You can still pretend, isn't the point of saying you have to have the imprint on there to say that it's a party political campaign leaflet?
Yeah.
Then why are you not requiring to visibly show that it's obviously a campaign leaflet? I mean, clearly it's designed to fool people. So I think this goes beyond just the Reform Party. Our electoral law that allows that is insane. I think every bit of campaign material should at least have a logo. And it's kind of like in America when it's like, I'm Bernie Sanders and I endorse this message, right? Why not have something on a bit of... Shut up. Why not have something on the campaign material that says, this is a Green Party campaign leaflet, just like on TV broadcast. This is a party political campaign. It's wild to me. I actually want, because it's 20 to 9. I want to go to the comments anyway, but I think it's beneficial because Callum Taylor is our producer tonight, and since he's the star of the show in this particular story, let's go to the comments and then let's bring Callum in.
The Woodward and Bernstein of British media. Fact.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. What an interesting story. This came about another. I think it was the Manchester Mill that we've also quoted in this. They got it at about the same time as we did. What's crazy about this, though, talking about whether it is or isn't a mistake on behalf of the printers. These printers print for Reform UK all the time. They're listed with the electoral register as being like their official point of use for printing. They will be well aware of the legal requirements as printers for printing political literature, especially when they are doing it regularly for Reform UK.
Exactly. So my point of them, like, they obviously want that ongoing financial business, and so they're going to take the fall for them in order to not lose that contract.
Quite possibly.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a financial vested interest for them to take the hit on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we pointed out, as Ben pointed out, and Curtis alluded to, the situation with the fining it is such that it's based now. It used to be a set fine. It is now based on, it's worked out by the Electoral Commission based on how much you can afford to pay. When you've got Reform, who have literally, just as Curtis said, got a £9 million donation
from very rich sources, by the way.
Yeah,
Not
they
like
could-
they haven't
they could
fundraised that
easily-
by going to like members or anything. They're just bought and paid for by billionaires. Yeah.
They could easily be fined a huge amount, but if it's just the fault of the printers, then obviously the fine will fall to them. I mean, I think it is now to Reform to prove that is the case and that is what happened.
Well, that's the thing.
and
We've
when
given their right of reply, saying, "Oh, there was a mistake," but like, you can't take it at face value. They just have to provide evidence of that.
When I spoke to the Electoral Commission, they told me that obviously that because of the nature of the by-election and just how it works, that it's actually a police matter. So they did say that they're in talks. They're having conversations with the police about this issue. What's interesting is that Matt Goodwin has obviously tweeted us, and he said that he's tweeted this statement, and he said Reform UK did not request or authorise the removal of the imprints. The omission rose from Harding's printer's production process, but they obviously weren't aware of it until after the story broke, because when I spoke to, as you saw in the video, when I spoke to Hardings at about 20 to 4 this afternoon, and I mentioned Patricia by name, they didn't have a clue who I was talking about. What's also interesting, though, is that Reform UK are claiming that they commissioned the letter from Patricia Clegg. So it seems that Patricia Clegg, according to Reform, is a real person in the constituency who they've, presumably paid to write a letter for them that they could then go out and publish. Which I think, maybe that's the thing that political parties do, but it's just, it doesn't, I don't know, there's something about it that doesn't seem to add up. It'll be interesting to see what comes out on Monday. Obviously the printers are now closed until Monday as well. And I imagine the Electoral Commission will be picking this back up on their desk on Monday too. I've not seen any statements from the police or directly from the Electoral Commission, publicly yet, but yeah, this has happened before though. So, just to do the job I'm here to do, which is look at some comments. I'll do the super chats in a moment. We've got this one from John that says Labour did the same thing in Caerphilly. Reform actually did the same thing in Caerphilly as well. We got a letter from a local lady, apparently, who claimed to be a nurse and a mother and had a sob story that was very fishy. I know that the Manchester Mill said that they've found a Patricia Clegg who seems to fit the bill on Facebook, and they've reached out to her for comment. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not she is actually.
Surely, if he was in Caerphilly, he would be cheesy rather than fishy. Because Caerphilly.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Well done. But on this story,
You're such a dad.
Ellie said, I work in printing. They literally print it. It's not screen printed where colours have to be manipulated to fit the machine. And this is kind of what they said to me on the phone. In the video that we showed. Reform UK, they design the literature. They send it to the printers. The printers print it and post it out. They print and post what they've gotten sent. And if it is a mistake, it's really odd, isn't it, how they've managed to get the imprint on all the other literature that they put out that has their logos, that has their photographs, that is very clearly, we are Reform UK, promoted by, printed by, yada, yada, yada. But on the one piece of literature that they put out that is designed to look like a letter from a local pensioner and a local resident, that just happens to be the one piece where the mistake is made.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, listen, it might be the case, and I want to give a shout out to Leo, one of our viewers, because Leo actually messaged me after this story broke and did a little bit of investigative journalism of his own, and he found a review from about 4 months ago of this specific printing firm that was a 1-star review that was complaining about the fact that they hadn't proofread the material that they'd printed, which it may be that on this occasion it is genuinely
like
but you know what? But I don't know what's worse though. I don't know what's worse, right? That Reform UK would allegedly and perhaps deliberately try and mislead the people of Gorton and Denton, or Reform UK would employ a printing firm that has 1-star reviews for not reading things properly and are clearly not, not adequate enough, to do the job. Like they're either deliberately misleading people, or they are incredibly incompetent.
Well, I was about to say they don't vet their parliamentary candidates, so they probably haven't vetted a
They're not
printing
gonna vet
business either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's worse to deliberately mislead than to be incompetent.
Of course.
And you're absolutely right. It is entirely possible that Reform did everything by the book and it was a printing error. Like, the claims from both Reform and the printing company could be absolutely true.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're here putting the facts out. We've done the statement, so we're not trying to be biased here. However, my personal opinion is I don't buy it. But I also could be wrong because I don't have any. Look, I'm not psychic. I can't see. I'm not fly on the wall in the printing offices. I just think that I don't. The reason why I don't buy it is, one, because I think out of all the things as I said earlier, and as you said too, out of all the things they didn't print, it was that one important bit. Very convenient. And two, it's not like, oh, it's all Reform colours. This is Reform, and then didn't do the imprint. The rest of it was designed to be misleading. That I can say. I think the letter or the post is misleading because it's designed to look like a letter. I mean, the content literally says, I'm a pensioner, I'm a local pensioner, I don't think you should vote for Reform, which again, to me, shows how bad the electoral commission and electoral system is, that is allowed. It shouldn't be.
Leo, who I just gave a shout out to, is actually watching tonight and has said this, which is a good point. The Green Party should now send a letter to everyone saying, you recently received a letter from Reform. Don't know if you're aware, but they did try and deceive and manipulate. I mean, whether the Greens have got the cash to send out another piece of.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Reform could do that. The Greens don't. They're not backed by the oil companies, so they can't really do that.
My advice would be, I'm not doing the when they go low, we go high nonsense, because you should attack them. No, but look, I think it's best to try and avoid mentioning your opponents as much as you really can, because you're just giving them free advertising.
Well, that is also true.
And also, sorry, I was going to say, if they were to do this, and it does get picked up in the mainstream media, it will go from, oh my God, Reform did a really fucked up thing and this is a scandal, to Reform and Green fight over this, and then people
very true.
get confused about who's at fault here. Even though we know who's at fault, you kind of want to leave it by itself. So hopefully the media will go, Reform did this really bad thing, and the hope is that they lose enough votes that it swings towards the Greens.
Well, presumably Reform UK are now going to write, because it was an honest mistake, they're now going to correct that mistake, and they're going to write to the residents of Gorton and Denton and explain to them why they received a letter that was.
Well, if they don't have to, they won't. Aren't they? I mean,
exactly.
Why are they going to do that?
But I want to move on. But I just quickly, just a few more comments on this. I'll just read them out. Oh no, we've had Ellie's. Thanks for that, Ellie. James has said, which I thought was quite funny. We've got leftist audio. Maybe they've got rightist printing.
True.
And this one from Jim Speak, which I love. Cal Umbo, just to go in with the political branded.
We'll get you on murders next, Callum. We'll get you on. You get on them murders.
Do it.
Honestly, you should end all your things with, I just got one more question for you.
I've just got one more question. Oliver, this brilliant journalism, top work, turn left. This is naughty stuff indeed.
Well, genuinely, and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your rectum or anything, but like, this is actual proper journalism. Like, legitimately, not only are you going to like press conferences and asking questions of political candidates and all the rest of it, but that's like, I mean, I did the joke about you doing more investigative journalism than the British media, which isn't technically true. There are still some good investigative journalists, but honestly, you've done more investigative journalism in that one phone call than like 90% of British journalists have in their entire career, which is just madness to think about. But this is proper media, and it needs funding, people. I'm saying, I'm not asking you nicely, give them fucking money now.
Well, speaking of,
thank you. And also support Kevin Logan as well. Subscribe to his channel, give him bits, subs, go to him on Twitch at KFL 1975, is that right? Or just KFL
KF Logan 1875, because my branding is awesome. People can definitely remember it.
Yeah, your branding's really fucking good. The fact that you've been on, I've known you for about fucking 300 years, and I'm still getting confused about what your actual
I'm here.
What your actual username is.
Turning point left.
You bastard.
Or what was it got called the last time I was on? Turn bent.
Yes, we've had that one before.
Honestly,
that was brilliant comment.
I love it. Yeah, I'm on turn bent. Let's fucking go.
I want more people to say this is turn bent because they think it's like an insult. It's fucking hilarious.
Now we need to move on.
Yes, okay, we're getting sillier. Silly Friday.
Just in all seriousness, so on the point of investigative journalism, Michael's also commented, can we also give a big shout out to Lewis for phenomenal work around the files being released? That man's capability to sift through tons of info is amazing. I kid you not, if you want to talk about turn left in investigative journalism, I make a phone call every now and then. Lewis is the man who is delving deep on some of the stuff that he's got, he's got for you.
It's just so funny. Our WhatsApp is buzzing. He's like, I found another thing, and another thing, and another thing. Like, shit, I wish we had the money and capacity to actually report on it. There's so much stuff that Lewis has done that we can't report because we ain't got the infrastructure. But
we'll get it out. We'll get it out some way. Onto the second story, the middle story. Autumn Leaves has said moans about being cancelled, then immediately goes on to boast about how many views he gets. Can't make this shit up.
Exactly. But it is about it's a victim complex. It's like we've now added conservatism to the oppression Olympics, which is like, oh, I'm the one who's been so oppressed these days now because I got invited on the biggest show on the BBC.
And it's a little bit Umberto Eco with the one of the points of fascism is that your enemy is both incredibly weak and incredibly strong, right?
Yeah.
They're weak. These people are small. They're nobodies. It's pathetic. But apparently they also have the power to like cancel people and take away their livelihoods. Which one is it? It can't be both.
Yeah. And Natalie said cancelled would be defined by Ava Cordero going public about being raped only to receive transphobic abuse from the media and needing to go into hiding.
That's fucking cancel culture because cancel culture would only hit marginalised people, right? It's not going to hit the fucking powerful, is it? I'm glad, Natalie, very good comment. You said it better than I could.
Or indeed, allegedly, the British establishment, including the royalty, murdering one of the victims of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Maybe. Who knows? It could have been suicide, just like Jeffrey Epstein could have been suicide.
Callum, I've got to remind you, we didn't do the donos.
No, we didn't. I'm going to come to those last.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were being a naughty boy then.
No.
Forgetting about the bloody donos.
It's because I came in straight on the third story, so just thought we'd go to the comments about it first. So I will not forget them. Do not worry about that. Just two really quick comments on the first story. There was a lot, to be fair, a lot of really good ones. But as Army said, this is why Starmer wants to get rid of juries. It is worth noting that I think this specific case would probably still have gone to a jury under the proposed changes.
Yeah, because it would have been. But once the threshold was it anything that could be over 3 years?
Yeah,
which obviously life imprisonment is. So,
but it's obviously it's that
it's the precedent they're starting, though, isn't it?
Well, if you get rid of juries on some cases, then
the better example would be that of Mo Farah, the kneecap performer, who has specifically not gotten away because he hasn't committed a crime, but they want to get rid of jury trials to stop the embarrassment of juries going, why is this even a trial? This is ridiculous, And
I just wanted to highlight this because I think this speaks to the problem at the moment on this story, which is Arthur saying, all I heard about this before was a police officer was attacked with a sledgehammer, and people are still repeating that today, even though the prosecution clearly couldn't prove it. And I think that's why Curtis has taken brilliant care this evening to include as much information as possible, because a lot of this isn't being reported on. You've got Kemi Badenoch standing on a platform, not with a mouse running behind her on this occasion, stating that somebody's spine was smashed in, and it's like, right, okay, like. And like Curtis says, we're not here to suggest that physical violence attacks on officers is okay, but clearly there wasn't enough for the jury in this instance to reach a verdict. It could go to a retrial, so it would be wrong to sort of say one way or another, any further. But at the same time, like with the Police Federation statement, you're kind of undermining the jury by publicly coming out and saying, "Oh, how dare you be happy about this verdict? What are you saying that the jury's got it wrong, that they don't know what they're doing?" Like,
and another problem, which tangential, I suppose, is the fact that the Labour Party are so terrible means that Reform are probably going to win the next general election, and they're not even going to need to do a lot of the fascism because, like, Sir Yusuf seemed really annoyed that the Labour government were getting rid of jury trials because he wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, like they're going to have done all. They're going to have laid the groundwork for fascism before they even get in.
To the super chats and the donos, big shout out to James with the £2 super chat there, James. God help us
Absolute
all.
cunt.
Jeremy
Fuck off. I know I'm not
incredible.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolute violation. Cancelled, reported, blocked, and fucking silenced. Unbelievable.
He paid £2 for it. We have to show it, Kev.
yeah. Sorry, that's not our fault.
No, it's okay. No, my mental health is worth £2. Clearly, yeah, that's fine.
Jim Speak gifted 5 turn left memberships. Shout out, thanks Jim for that.
Thanks, Jim.
Michael has gifted 1 turn left membership. We appreciate it. Idiosyncrasy has gifted 5 turn left memberships. Thank you for those. Kate has just become a member as well.
Oh, welcome.
Bloody blah gifted 10 turn left memberships.
Oh, go on, son.
And shout out to all you newbies that have joined through these gifted memberships as well. Kate then decided to gift another 5 because why not?
Bloody hell.
Clearly,
grateful for that.
This is clearly George Soros in disguise.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Then Bloody Blah sent
Absolutely.
a £10 super chat.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate it. If cancel culture, quote, people can't stand online arguments, time to get off the internet. It's not like it's rare to find someone that will disagree with anything you say.
Yep. Absolutely.
He probably, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he just saw one tweet that said, they better not get him on BBC Question Time again. And he's like, oh, I'm going to make a video about this. To be honest, it gets reaction. Like, I don't know if you know if he actually believes it, but he'll make a video, gets views, and probably increases his sub count.
But
more money.
What makes me laugh, though, is that he goes to his platform that he has to complain that he hasn't got a platform.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like...
not just that, but every accusation is a confession. He goes, these people are stuck in 2016. No, you're stuck in 2016.
I know, right? That's
2016
literally it.
cancelled 2016 culture war bullshit all the time. Your podcast is called Trigonometry. And you want to accuse other people of being stuck in 2016. Get wrecked.
All triggered. We've got a celebrity in the chat, haven't we?
Going Falls, giving 5 turn left memberships. Thank you for those.
Thank you.
Andrew Luke just became a member. And after becoming a member, Andrew decided to gift turn left memberships so that 10 other people could become a member.
Thank you. They want to keep us, they don't want us to leave. It's like coming to 9 o'clock, like you ain't going to bed.
That's clearly Charles Schwab in disguise. Just saying.
Deus Ex has donated £2 because Kev
Thank
told
you.
me to.
Correct.
Which
The power of Kev.
Correct.
Paul Webster Lincoln, welcome. £10 super chat.
Wow,
there.
thank you.
Thank you. Richard Murphy, end of the month in Cambridge.
Who's Richard Murphy? Am I old?
The Economist. Well, no, he's not economist. He's a banking expert.
Sorry, I was thinking that like a musician or something. I forgot that your audience are such nerds.
Well educated.
Don't they give it, Kevin? They're giving us money for God's sake, and you're insulting them.
I'm going to a banging gig. I'm going to see an economist. Yeah, rock and roll.
I mean, to be fair though, I'd rather go see an economist than go watch cricket. Although to be fair, there's beer at cricket, so maybe not.
All I'll say is, go fuck yourself.
Okay,
that's aimed at Curtis and not our viewers, obviously, Kev. Yeah. No, okay.
No, I want to play. I want to play.
Suze, no, thanks for that, Paul. We really appreciate it.
Yes, we've got.
Suze said, a great fucking night, to be honest. It feels like there's a future if Mandelson can go to jail.
Also,
Everyone go big up Suze Kempner, our resident celebrity.
Honestly, if you want to go and see the greatest Nadine Dorris skits, Suze, you go.
Aramis has gifted 5 turn left memberships. IAA Fun has gifted 10 turn left memberships.
Fucking
as
hell.
well.
Guys, we want to go home.
Well, we can because that's the end. So thank you very much.
Oh, it is. Well, that's good then, isn't it?
Oh, no,
God,
sorry.
no, there's one more.
Solid James has just done a £10.
Fuck off, James. Fuck off.
James.
I want to go to bed, you cunt. Go
Great
away.
work. No notes. I would give more if I wasn't so dirt poor. Listen, £10 is more than enough from you, James. Thank you. We really
No, that's incredible. Don't ever apologise for that. No way.
No, you should apologise.
I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to call it a night and let you both wrap up.
Oh, incredible. And you know what? That was a fantastic Friday show.
Banging.
Everything amazing. Great stories, great producer, great guests, great comments. All right. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Of course, thank you, Kevin, for joining me tonight. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Green as that.
An honor. I don't know what.
Pretty face.
Oh, are you talking about yourself or me?
Well, both of us. Absolute pair of chads. Fuck off.
The producer Callum saying, wrap up, my pizza's here. Right, okay, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. Another successful show. Thank you to all the donations. Really, really generous of you guys. Now remember to like the stream. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that button, hit the notification bell. Of course, I'm going to say it. If you want us to grow, then you can head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There is a link to our Patreon where you can support us monthly or follow the other link to give us a one-time contribution. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member for just 99p. Thank you so much to everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and we'll see you on Monday.